Joining me now is Jamie Ellerton, conservative strategist. Jamie, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Roger.
Well, the Liberals have held this riding for 3 decades, but it was conservative years and years ago. How high are the stakes for the Liberals today?
I don't really think the result of this by-election actually matters, Roger, for being frank. The fact that we're now going on over a month of just kind of ongoing news coverage questioning the Prime Minister's leadership capabilities, the state of the Liberal Party, whether the Liberals eke out a win or not, things look bad for Justin Trudeau. And I think it's just further fueling the national conversation on the need for change right now.
What would eke out a win for the Liberals? I mean, what if they win this handily?
You would expect Liberals to win Toronto St. Paul's handily. The demographics have changed quite substantially since the Conservatives last held it over 30 years ago. And this is an inner city Toronto seat right next to the finance minister's own riding in University Rosedale. And so this is a seat the Liberals expect to win even when they're not in government. And so you would expect them to win this big. This, of course, being a by-election means that voters are generally more disengaged than they are during the general election. And so each party is going to their list of historical supporters and essentially telling them that there is a by-election and trying to get them out to the polls today.
And so could we expect any chance at a loss here for the Liberals?
Conservatives are definitely downplaying the expectations and continuing to play up the fact that this is, again, a Liberal stronghold, and so all the expectations are on them. But I'm talking with people on the ground. There's a real motivated Conservative base who have been with the party for years, who feel really energized by the wind in the sails and the hard work that Pierre Poilievre has been doing. And given that by-elections typically have very historically low turnout, a very high turnout from historical Conservative supporters and low turnout from Liberal supporters means there is perhaps an outside chance here, but no Conservatives I talked to are expecting that tonight.
And as you were saying, it's more important the overall issues that have been discussed over the last month.
Yeah, and I think even if you look at kind of the internal Liberal fold, like Leslie Church at the end of the day is a parachute candidate, longtime partisan Liberal, chief of staff to the finance minister, with no real roots in the riding, and is viewed as a safe seat after Carolyn Bennett resigned to become an ambassador to an EU nation. And so I think when you just look at the machinations of this, the high desire for change across Canada right now is very real, and that's not something that's a partisan thing that's necessarily anti-liberal in a partisan political sense. People are just generally fed up and tired with this government, so it's going to make it really hard for the Liberals to be able to motivate their own supporters. The fact that they have so many senior Liberals out there doing GOTV today tells me that they're in trouble and are probably struggling to attract volunteers who would normally take up the bulk of that kind of work, while you would have higher profile people going to teams of volunteers themselves to keep them motivated and fed throughout the course of the day. And so the entire Liberal machine is throwing the highest ranking Liberals at this to try and hold this one on from them.
Now, we've heard this talk of being a snapshot of Trudeau's future in leading the party, a bellwether for him. Do you think it's that powerful, this riding?
I do think it is another one of the things that show the time for a change dynamic and for Liberals to have some honest conversations. Of course, the Liberals are going to say that Justin Trudeau is going nowhere until all of a sudden Justin Trudeau does go somewhere. And there are a lot of people sitting in that government caucus today who, if an election were to be held tomorrow, would find themselves out of a job. And so I think you are going to see increasing pressure on the Prime Minister to go. If you do see results in St. Paul's be even close, let alone a Liberal loss, I think that's going to increase the conversations of the fact that this Prime Minister's done. And there's obviously, I think, a disconnect between the kind of hubris of what you're seeing with the PMO and how they continue to control and lead the party, and the party at large across the country. And so how that disconnect plays out in the summer, no doubt, if there's a bad result for Liberals tonight, it's going to be a worse summer for Justin Trudeau.
Okay, Jamie, thank you very much for your insight. Always appreciated.
Thanks, Robert.